YouTube, welcome back to another YouTube video. Guys, I've been playing with mice, obviously, for many years, since the first XT computer ever came out to today. I have tried small mice, big mice, medium mice, all kinds of mice, including the old school rollerball mice, right? I've tried laser, I've tried optical, I've tried blue light mice. In my time, I settled with, for quite a few many years, the Rocket Kiro, because mice back then, lightweight mice weren't really a thing. It was just size and shape. That was the thing that kind of helped you choose a mouse, unfortunately, and how many side buttons, and if it's customized, well, interchangeable sides and things like that. I've been playing with the Viper full-sized Razer Viper for, about 8 months now. And it's been a fantastic mouse. Don't get me wrong. If you're a palm grip user, you've got a big hand, it's the mouse for you, right? It's ambidextrous, truly ergonomically ambidextrous. Buttons on both sides if you really need them on the sides. I never use side buttons, so it's not a concern for me. But for others, that may be. Great rubberized grip on the sides. And so on and so forth. The optical switches, which are fantastic. The sensor is state of the art, top of the line, best you can get in industry right now. So I've been playing on that mouse. But see, I have medium size hands. Now, if you get on a sizing guide, like here, you'll see that the different hand sizes are a little bit different. So let's take a close look at that. So as you can see here, right, gaming mouse size interactive chart and table. You measure a hand across the width and the length, obviously, that's because that's how a hand works. But the whole thing is, right, is these values, and as you can see, these values aren't very helpful. So you've got for example, the Gladius, right, that's 116 grams of weight, 4.5 centimeters by 6.7 and 12.6. So if you have a hand that is 12.6 or more in length, so from the heel of your hand to the tip of your fingers, as shown here, you can use a mouse that's 18 centimeters, right? By the way, that person's got terrible circulation in their hands. Okay, anyway, so this would be a mouse that would be great for someone for claw grip as well as fingertip grip. Then you move on to something like Logitech G400S, right? Very popular mouse, 13.1 centimeters. So that's someone who needs a big hand. You need a big hand to grip that mouse. One, width, length, and your fingers. The length of your fingers, right? It's a very big, bulky mouse. It's ergonomic. It's wide. Doesn't matter if it's wireless or wired. That's personal preference and weight. And it says large hand here. But this is a very large hand. This is not just, I'm going to get a big mouse because, I think I've got a big hand because I've got a big, what. Nothing to do with it, right? At the end of the day, your mouse preference is personal. And you have to choose a mouse that's going to suit your hand size. So, my advice for anybody under the age of 18 years of age, small hand size is the only option you've got. Small mouse. Yeah? Big mouse, small mouse. Anyone who's an adult, realistically, over 80% of us will be using a medium to small mouse as well. The people who use large mice are people that are palm grippers, people that use their mouse for more architectural or more CAD design purposes. A small to medium hand mouse is not going to be as smooth to move straight lines with than the larger mouse and the larger hand is going to need. So make sure when you're choosing a mouse, you're choosing something that is suitable for your needs and not what your mates have and recommend and all that type of jazz. Because at the end of the day, the best gaming mouse for you is what matters. So make sure that when you're choosing a mouse, it's something that suits you. If you have the opportunity to go into a computer shop and actually test mice, JB Hi-Fi is good, Harvey Norman's good, maybe Maya, maybe. But at the end of the day, you try to go into somewhere and find a mouse that's going to suit your hand. So for me, I've been using the Viper. This is the V2 Pro, same thing. It's just wireless. And it's been a fantastic mouse. It really is responsive. The button clicks are phenomenal, better than any Omnicron switches you'll ever find. It's just a beautiful mouse. And if I had a bigger hand, I would be in love. You know, not marry the thing, but close enough, right? It's the perfect mouse for a large hand. Perfect mouse for any large hand type as well, palm grip or fingertip. As it says, it's not too good for palm grip. That's wrong. That is totally wrong. And the storage dongle, who cares? That's incorrect. This is a perfect palm grip mouse. And this is the problem with these reviewers. They don't actually get the mice and test them. They just read about the specs and write these blogs. That's annoying. Very annoying. This is the Logitech Superlight Wireless. It's a good office mouse, but it's not a good gaming mouse. These Ergo sloped mice, do not buy them. They are bad for your wrist. They'll give you RSI over time and larger hands. So the question is, why the developers of mice make mostly large to very large hand mice and those Ergo sweeping mice? That's the question. And what it comes down to is that they are trying to make a mouse which is more interesting or appealing for industry to use than you. So CAD users, architects, people doing graphic design, they want to rest their hand on the mouse. They don't want to be controlling the mouse because of RSI, right? So gamers really aren't considered in the mice market. And a lot of people go, oh, but they are. You know, you got Glorious Model O, you know, focused on breathability. And no, that was just as a startup Kickstarter company that made some money making some pretty average mice. The side flex is horrendous on them. They creak, they crunch. The Omnicron switches aren't that great on them either. They're not the best supplier of them. There's a lot of complaints about those mice. Cooler Master did a similar mouse with the kind of the same kind of airy design. That's not obviously it, but yeah, and it's not a popular mouse. It's too big. It's a very big mouse. And if you look at this mouse, for example, the ergonomic design's there, right? That's fantastic. Length. This thing from here to here is far too long, and that includes your buttons. This is the final mouse, you know, one of the best in the world for industry, not for gaming, not for everyday use. So I'll show you both the Viper and the Mini. All right, guys. So as you can see here, I've got the Viper and the Viper Mini. Now the differences are very subtle, but they are very different mice completely. The Viper obviously is longer, it's wider, it has a rubber grip on the sides. Its DPI button is way down the back down there at the bottom, which is a real pain in the ass to get hold of and get to when you really need to change it on the fly. Buttons on both sides of the mouse, which make it obviously truly ambidextrous, but as I said, I don't personally use the side buttons. Plus I find that they're a bit too high up on the mouse on the sides. If you're playing an FPS game, for example, you're not going to try to reach up here and lose complete control of the mouse in this situation, are you? You're going to hold on tight. You're not going to try to get up here to press ADS or whatever. It is what it is. Side buttons are a thing, and then if you choose to use side buttons, good for you. Not my cup of tea. Right, so for me, with the Viper itself, as you can see here, the Viper really sits up far in the back of my hand, right where my big, fat, meaty, hard, muscly pads are, right? This way my hand is. I've got a medium-sized hand, it's just the way it is. So the longer mouse, I'm healing, right? So in here and here, my actual pressure on the mouse is across the midsection of the mouse instead of in the front of the mouse where it's meant to be. So what I find is when I'm trying to do fast movement in computer games, FPS games specifically, that I'm really tailing this mouse, and I can actually feel I've rubbed a divot into the back. See, if you probably can't notice on camera, but the more front of the pad is raised, this pad is worn down at the back. So what I've been doing is I've been leaning back, trying to lift up to get that control over the mouse that I would not, that I'd usually have over a smaller mouse. And that's been my biggest problem. is when it comes down to movement, as you can see, I'm really putting all of my pressure on this part of the mouse, right on the back here, not on the central area where it's meant to be. And it's just because my hand's not big enough. My fingers don't even reach the end of the mouse, as you can see. Barely reach, but that's full palm spread grip, and that's not how I hold a mouse. I'm more of a claw gripper or a fingertip gripper. But it's more of the point is it's great for doing straight lines with, as you can see, and up and down. It's a lot harder because it's a very wide mouse and my hand's not that wide. It's a chunky hand, sausage fingers. So for accuracy up and down X and Y axis, it's not that great for me. Someone with a really big hand would love this, and this is a perfect palm mouse. I hate how websites just mislead people. Anyway, thing is, if you got a medium-sized hand and you really want to use the Viper, right? To get full control over the mouse, you have to put your thumb right forward instead of where it's meant to be. Right forward. You're going to tuck, there we go, tuck that pinky finger right in. It's very awkward feeling to hold the mouse in a way in which a medium hand user would want to use it. You don't get much control. There's just, you don't have the dexterity to control the mouse the way in which a medium hand user would have to use this mouse to make it comfortable for long periods of time and also take pressure off the heel of that mouse at the back. So you'd have to play like that. It'd be very hard to get used to it. You get a very sore thumb very quick, and you'd hyperextend your pinky and your ring finger as well. So look, large hand mouse, fantastic, great, awesome, covered. Buttons on both sides, rubber grips on the sides, DPI buttons on the bottom, using the same state-of-the-art optical technology that the Mini does. This is the Mini. Mini only has switches on one side, which is for right-handed only. As I say, if you're a right-hand user, well, good for you. If you're a left-hand user, unfortunately, you don't have side buttons, but you have the size. The length is far shorter by comparison. I'll try to actually side by side them. That should give you an idea. The Mini's here, the Viper's here. So the Viper's got a longer, fatter slope on the tail, wider mouse, definitely wider. Doesn't have under illumination RGB with the Mini does. Both have obviously the signature RGB lighting for the Razer logo. The scroll mouse is less pronounced for the buttons on the actual wheel itself. They both click, scroll. Both have the same scroll feel. It's just that the bumps, the ridges on the Viper are a little bit less pronounced and a little bit less grippy. And that's something I've noticed too. It's obviously something that's not detrimental to your gameplay, but it's just a little, quality of life thing that they could have improved on. The rubber is something that I have had a real issue with, and I watched a review and the guy said it himself. He's not too sure how long the rubber will last. Well, yeah, that's smooth where it's meant to be textured, and it didn't last long, 8 months, and it's basically worn out. I've noticed that even though I've put the switches through hell because, I'm having to fight the mouse all the time and whack, the buttons, the switches have held up, but yeah, one's less clicky than the other. I don't know. Look, for someone with the right hand size, this mouse is going to be absolutely, literally perfect for you. You don't need any of these sloped ergonomics. You don't need any of these standing up mice. I saw one which is like a trigger handle for like a arcade machine recently, which was weird. That was in a video, but yeah, it's a conversation for a completely different day. Then they got the Mini. The Mini fits. It has a higher ridge here, shorter back, lower. it is designed to cup into your palm, where the Viper is there to kind of just rest your hand on. This there's the RGB illumination as well, just for the sake of showing it. This is a far superior mouse when it comes down to dexterity. One, you can really get complete and utter control. Fine movement speed, as you can see, is spectacular. It's same optical sensor, same everything, right? It's a far nicer, smaller, compact design. Both are rock solid, sturdy mice. People will try to say, "Oh, but they flex." No, they don't. You get a hammer, they're going to flex. Anything's going to flex with the hammer. Your DPI switches on the top, which I like, especially for SPS gaming. If you want to change between scope for long distance sniper rifles, and you want to slow that right down, you just click the button a couple of times, boom. Much better implementation than I found on the Razer Viper. The sides don't have the rubber, but because it's more of a claw grip mouse anyway, you're using more of your fingers and your thumb and ring finger to control the mouse anyway, so slippage isn't really an issue. The worst case scenario, you just get some grip tape. Mouse grip tape is cheap as chips online. The scroll wheel is better pronounced. I like how it feels on the finger. It's just got more bumps. It's a bit more aggressive. The under illumination is fantastic. I'm finding already from fighting or trying to change my play style and trying to fight this mouse for so long and think it was just me who had the problem, until I recently watched a video myself, which has made me, I go, oh, factor, I go, oh, yeah, light bulb, that I was not the problem. It was actually the hardware in this case. My hand is too small for a big mouse. Simple. Don't feel bad about it if you've got to go and accept you've got to get a smaller mouse. It just means you're setting yourself up for success, not failure. So yeah, as you can see here with that's much more controllable up on the vertical and horizontal, where this is very much slow movement. See, this would be great for slow movement work, CAD, graphic design, game development, because it's just a mouse you can rest your hand on and do your stuff. You don't have to stress any of your carpal tunnel. You don't have to do any of that, where obviously with the gaming mouse you are wanting that flexibility of movement and that twitchability, where your wrist is doing the work instead of your hand and doing the work, where this is very much a hand mouse, not a wrist mouse for medium-sized hands. Large hands, different story. Fantastic mice, both of them, in their own rights. Just, for me, the smaller mouse is what suits my hand. That's simple. I'm going to start in 2 side buttons. Woohoo! And some rubber that doesn't last anyway. So I'm not losing out on anything. I'm actually gaining a bit of under illumination as well as the top. So, and the DPI, the fast switch DPI, which is huge. That's why I think they put DPI on the bottom of this, because they're trying to aim this at more of business people who set their DPI and forget about it, where with gamers we want it on top so we can change it to a faster or slower DPI. So there we go. So hopefully that's been helpful. It's been educational, because it's something that I myself had to learn the hard way after going from a small mouse to a big mouse, because the Viper was the only mouse from Razer that was truly ambidextrous available at the time. The Mini came out 6 months later. So now it's, obviously almost a year later, and long story cut short, well, it's come out a couple of months ago, and now I've purchased it. I got it on clearance from Maya for $55. $87.96, $88, $89 elsewhere. Honestly, if you're going to invest in a mouse that is going to last and have the switches last and will take an absolute hammering, don't go with Logitech. They've dropped their quality off the end of the earth. It's Logitech don't know what they're doing anymore. I have Elgato Stream Deck XL, obviously. I also have Blue Ember mic, and this is all older equipment, right? But if you were to buy a brand new Steam Deck with the dials for the mixer built in, too many software problems, and the dials are all mushy and loose, they're not good. If you buy a new, say, Logitech or Blue branded microphone, you're not going to get this sound quality. Logitech as a company are just slipping, like Sony has. You know, Sony dropped the ball years ago, and the PlayStation's the only thing that they got a claim to fame to now. So, yeah, guys, just advice: Razer do gaming. Yes, they don't do the best microphone in the world. It's good, but it's not the best. They don't. They do the best keyboards and the best mice, in my opinion, I've ever used. Corsair used to do the best mechanical keyboards, but Cherry MX switches aren't great. They don't last very long. So, yeah, make sure when you're making a decision to purchase that you're making it not out of emotion, you're making it out of an analytical, educated standpoint. Go into the shops, test the mice out with your hands. Don't need to play a game with them, just feel them in your hand. You'll be able to tell straight away almost. As long as it cups into this part of your hand here and you're not leaning on the mouse here at all, okay, you're good to go. Obviously, you want the buttons to fit within the tips of your fingers, and obviously the sides for comfort. Make sure it's not like this. It's natural, it feels natural in your hand. And make sure you got good switches. That's all that matters. All right, guys. So hopefully that has been of help. I'm Death Valley, and I'll catch you in the wasteland. Cheers.